the birthplace of the Bohemian Revolution. From Cowork 591 Studios, we are the Bohemian Underground with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. I'm June Gillespie, and this is the Jesup News for March 17th, 2025. Tonight we're sponsored by Mickey D's Pizza and Lobster. The Farrells are kind sponsors of this podcast. Notice I say lobster like they do out east.
I had noticed that, yes.
Yeah.
I'm amazed at your, yes, go ahead.
I'm trying. And include them at your wedding, graduation, or festival plans. Don't wait. Their schedule's filling up for 2025. We're lucky tonight to have a guest that is real busy. She's we caught her right between graduation here. She's got a graduate coming, and the end of the season.
Yes.
And we have Sarah Nolan on. She knows I'm going to say Sarah Curry once. So she's going to put up with that. Thank you for doing that. And thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. I'm glad to be here.
So Sarah has a rather unique story, and she is going to be kind enough to share that with us. And I think she wants the public to know a little bit about it as well.
Yes.
So Sarah, what we'll do is we'll have you share the story, and Dale and I will ask questions.
Okay. That works.
Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for having me. So my name is Sarah Nolan. I am a kindergarten teacher up here at Jesup Community Schools. I am also the cheerleading coach. I have taught for 19 years.
Wow.
And coached for 9. And my family and I live in Jesup, and I was born and raised in Jesup. So I'm going to share a little bit about my story that happened about a few years ago to my daughter and I as we were driving. And it's more of just an awareness story and kind of, I would say, a story that makes you think about what can happen in a small town and how to be aware. So it would have been a Tuesday night in October in 2023. My daughter Ava and I were coming back from Dyersville, Iowa, and Ava has gymnastics there, and we were just coming back. It was a dark night, probably about 8:30, and we were coming on the on-ramp on Highway 20. And it was just like a typical night drive. We were used to it. We've done it for many, many years to take Ava to gymnastics. And as we were coming on, I saw an older truck kind of coming in the left-hand lane, and it was probably going about 50, 55, and we passed it as we were coming on, and I didn't think anything of it. And as we were driving and we got to about the second Dyersville exit, I noticed the truck had sped up and kind of had sat in my blind spot of my car. Again, I didn't really think anything of it. It was in October. I thought it was an older truck. I thought it was a farmer, probably coming back from the fields, or, going to go check his livestock and then just kind of tooling back. Then pretty soon I saw the truck drop back, and Ava and I continued to talk. We talk about cheer, we talk about life, just have all the conversations as we're taking the 45-minute drive back. And probably not even 5 minutes later, I saw the truck speed up, sit into my blind spot by my car to where I couldn't see it. It wouldn't pass. It wouldn't go behind. We were in the right-hand lane. He was in the left-hand lane. And I thought I saw him swerve, like just from the headlight. It kind of like gave me, I guess, a gut feeling as to something's not right, like what is going on. And then the car slammed on his brakes, or the truck slammed on his brakes and held back.
Did Ava realize all this was going on?
She did not. She did not at first. So that's kind of part of the story. We were eating and talking, and as I saw this a few times, I said to Ava, "Do you see that truck?" And she kind of made fun of me and said, "Well, it's because you watch all that true crime. Nothing's going on." And I said, "I don't know." I said, "Turn around and see if you can see the license plate number." Because in my head, I'm thinking, need the make, the model of the car, and the license plate number. Like, those are the first 3 things that you need, and probably the color, this vehicle. And she turned around and she goes, "Well, it's an older blue Chevy truck, but I can't see the license plate." I'm like, okay. So we continued to drive talking, and I noticed the truck continuing to speed up, slow down, sit in my blind spot, but never get past us. And then I felt like it continued to swerve, but we couldn't really see because I could only see the headlight. And I just still felt like something was not right. And so I had told Ava, I said, I want you to start watching the mile markers on the highway to see if you can see where we're at, and just so we know. And I, in my head, kind of knew a little bit of where we were. And again, Ava kind of brushed it off like, Sarah, you're thinking too much. It's not a big deal. And something in my gut just did not sit right. So we were coming up towards Manchester, and I had kind of sped up and slowed down just to see what would happen. And the driver did the same thing. And so again, in my head, I'm like, start watching for mile markers, start watching for landmarks, start watching for other cars as well, just to see. We were coming up on a Manchester exit, and I knew that the left-hand lane was closed. And so as we were coming up on this, we had to slow down. And I was like, okay, it's 55. I am going to slow down because I don't want to get caught speeding through this. And the driver of the other vehicle would not get over. Like, you could see the cone starting to come. He would not get over. And in my head, I'm like, he's either going to hit us, he's going to hit cones, like something's going to happen. And as we were coming up on that exit, there was a black car sitting there. And at that point in time, as the car was sitting in the exit, I knew I had to start make like a strategy. I said, call your dad, tell him, because we have Life 360 on our phones. We have them on the kids' phone. So I said, call your dad. We need to talk to him. So Ava called Ricky, put him on speakerphone. And I said, something does not feel right. And he said, call 911. So I was like, okay. We were in Delaware County. So I had Ava call 911, put them on speakerphone. I explained the situation. At this point in time, he came over and he was right behind us because the left lane was closed, and he was so close I couldn't see his headlights. At that point in time, I lost track of the black car, and I explained to the Delaware County Dispatch, my name is Sarah Nolan. This is what I drive. Here's where we are. I can give you the mile markers. I can give you a description of his vehicle. Something does not feel right. So I explained the whole thing to her, and she's like, okay. And so they were, I think, tagging our car and knowing where we were in our location, and then trying to make a plan and a strategy as to what to do, because I could hear other voices in the dispatch. And then it was right after the second Manchester exit, the dispatcher said, I'm so sorry. I have to dispatch you into Buchanan. You just left Delaware County. She said, you have to give me a minute. I will get somebody with you as soon as I can. And again, in my head, what is my plan? That's what I kept thinking, is what is my plan if something were to happen? What did I need to do to get Ava out safely? And then Buchanan County answered dispatch. Her name was Riley. She is an angel. She answered, and we had to explain the whole thing over again. At this point in time, I had sped up to about 90 to 100 miles an hour. He was back in the left-hand lane. I was in the right-hand lane. He was continuously, even starting more so, to sit in my blind spot and swerve at the car. And you could feel it. Like, you could feel it going on. So we're explaining this, and so the dispatcher said, slow down. See what happened. I slowed down, he slowed down. I sped up, he sped up. The same thing. But at this point in time, he never really dropped back. He just continued to sit in that blind spot. So walking us through everything, we were coming up on the Lamont exit, and the dispatcher said, I want you to take this exit. Do not put on your turn signal. Do not slow down. Take the exit. And my first reaction to her that I had said as she was talking me through everything is, what if he takes the exit? And she said, if that happens, we will figure it out when we get there. So I'm still having Ava watch. She's holding the phone. At this point in time, she's crying because she understands what is going on. And I took the exit, and unfortunately, he veered off and took the exit right after us. And at that point in time, I knew I had to stay calm as I could, because Ava was crying and yelling. And so I said, he's right behind us. He took the exit as well. So she said, okay. She said, you're going to blow this stop sign and you are going to take a right and I'm going to get you to my deputies. And I'm like, okay. So I think at that point in time when they realized that, because the deputies were all actually sitting in the dispatch office, at that point in time they realized that this was trouble. Something was not right. So she said after when I met her that all the deputies took off running out to their cars. They had no idea where they were going. They were just waiting for the next instruction from the other dispatchers as to what to do. So she stayed on the line with us. We took a right. She wanted me to take a left. Unfortunately, I kind of knew the area, but I wasn't like 100% on it. And you come over a hill to get to Old 20, it's like an immediate left. I missed it. Mm-hmm. And I then was very upset with myself. Like, I just missed it. I'm so sorry. And she's like, it's okay. She goes, I'm going to get you back on track. And she told me to keep driving. He was continuously behind me. I couldn't see his headlights, but I could see the outcast of him from the back of my car. He never hit my car, but he was close enough to where you could feel like at any moment he could hit the car. So the next road they had me take was a quick left and it was gravel. And at that point in time, again, I was like, we could hit an animal, we could go in the ditch, we could spin, he could hit us. Like, what do I need to do? I did say a little prayer. I said a prayer to God and I said, just get us out of this. Please do everything in your power that you can. So I could feel us fishtailing because I have a little Malibu. And all of a sudden she's like, just keep driving, drive as fast as you can, that you feel safe, that you're not going to put your car in the ditch. And she's continuously talking to us and she's trying to calm us down because at that point in time I am crying because I feel like I know the story of how this ends in big cities is it doesn't end.
Let's take a break here right now, Sarah, and we will be right back.
Absolutely.
The Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network here, and we're here with Sarah Nolan and her story, and she's so kind to share it with us. And she, if you remember, she had just turned down a gravel road.
Yes. So I had just turned down the gravel road. Our car was fishtailing, and we had just come up over a hill. And I looked in my rearview mirror, and all of a sudden I saw the truck fishtail, and it had went into the north ditch. And I saw his taillights, and so I had talked to the dispatcher, and I said, he just went in the ditch. And she asked, she goes, is he able to drive out? I said, yes. Well, being the person that I am, and probably the teacher in me said, oh my goodness, should I stop? And she said, no. Do not stop. And I'm like, okay. And so she said, keep driving. And then she continued to take us to a left. We were over a gravel road, up over a bridge. And then we had made it to back to Highway 20, or Old 20, I should say. And we took a right. And we did not realize it at the time because the corn was still in. The driver of the truck drove out of the ditch, and he decided to turn back around to chase us. He put his truck in the ditch on the south side and actually rolled it, and it had started on fire. So that is what had stopped him.
Wow.
Was that. So then we got to Highway 20, and the dispatcher was continuing to talk me through everything. And she said, I need you to stop and pull over at this next little road. You're going to meet my deputies. And I did not want to. I was very scared. At that point in time, I think fight or flight had kind of started to kick in more. And because I couldn't see him, I didn't know where he was. And I was very scared. I said, what if he comes back? What if he comes back? And she said, it'll be okay. Like, they're right up there. Do you see those headlights? And I said, yeah. And she said, that is them. So we pulled over onto this little side road. One deputy went flying past us. I could see that. And then the next deputy slid right in next to us, and he came out and he was talking to us, and he was asking me and talking to me and making sure that we were okay and kind of talking us through everything and getting our statement again. And I could hear the radio's just going crazy. And at that point in time, I know that there was another deputy, I think an Iowa State Patrol. There was quite a few on the scene, and I could hear them calling for the fire trucks, calling for the ambulance. Again, we had no idea what had happened. And so the deputy had asked us to drive into Winthrop and to drive to Sinclair gas station and wait there for him. And so we have friends who live in the Winthrop area. So we had gotten back a hold of Ricky. He had actually been trying to call because he had been watching us on Life 360 and saw that we had stopped. And my car, because of the high rates of speed, had slid down into the floorboard of my car. So I wasn't able to answer it. Then he was trying to call Ava. She was on the phone with 911, so she was not able to answer. So I finally called him, and he's like, what is going on? And so I had told him and walked through everything, and I said they want us to drive to the Sinclair gas station in Winthrop and wait. And so he said, okay, I'll be there. And we called our friends. They came and they waited with us and stayed with us. And then Ricky got there, and probably about 2 hours later, the deputy finally came and got back. I knew it was going to take a while because our friends had heard on the scanner that the driver was truck was on fire. The driver had to be transported. That the truck was basically engulfed in flames. There was nothing left of it. So we had to wait a while, and then we gave our statements. Basically faced the aftermath of all of this. I would say even till now, it still bothers Ava and I. It would have been in December of 2023. I'd gotten the phone call that they pressed charges on the man. He had been in trouble before, so they pressed charges on him and booked him in the Buchanan County Jail for drug paraphernalia, and then also for chasing us down a road and driving under the influence. And that kind of gave Ava and I a little bit of relief because we never knew who he was, but we did not know if he knew who we were or what we looked like. Yeah. And so there was a lot of fears of being home alone at night, a lot of fears for us driving in the dark, fears of us even just going outside at night. It definitely, whatever sentence he faced was never like the lifetime of sentence that Ava and I now live with. Yeah. We're always hyper aware of our surroundings, and just kind of, I don't want to say in fight or flight mode, but just always making sure that we know what's going on around us. So then in April of 2024, we had a sentencing, and we were able to write victim impact statements. And I, at that point in time, had been going through therapy since the end of October. I really struggled with sleeping. I had night terrors. I had a lot of racing thoughts. I was very scared of the dark, scared of the night, and also scared of not knowing who it was and why he did what he did. And so I had been going through therapy for multiple months, and I was able to take the stand and actually give my impact statement. I truly believe in rehabilitation, and so I did not ask for anything other than substance abuse help because he was on drugs, substance abuse check-ins, mental health and check-ins, and community service. That is all that I wanted. Because I don't believe that paying a fine or serving time in jail solves anything. It's more working on yourself that helps. I just wanted him to know how he had impacted us. And I didn't need anything else from that. I didn't need anything from him. I just needed to know he was going to get the help that he needed.
Did Ava read one too?
Ava wrote one, but she did not want to read it.
That'd be hard for her.
It was very hard because she's, at that point in time, she was 16, going to be 17. And that's a lot for a teenage girl to process. So she wrote one, and our assistant county attorney read it aloud.
The next week when it's time for gymnastics lessons, how did that go?
We didn't go.
You didn't go, okay.
No.
And did you not go for a long time or just skip a few? Or?
At that point in time, we definitely did not let Ava drive by herself at night
Sure.
and drive from there, knowing that it was, in the end, it wasn't anything targeted against us. It was literally a person who was on drugs and made bad choices, but it still has that fear that it can happen.
Oh, yeah.
Because living in Jesup, living in a small town, you think nothing like that happens.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it was just being aware, having her phone on her, making sure that we knew, and it helps with Life 360. We know where she is. We know when she leaves. We can kind of watch.
Sarah, before you go on here, and this is an incredible story, talk to the audience and tell us about Life 360.
Yes. Okay. So Life 360 is an app, and we have it on our phones. And what it is we're able to basically see the location of our family. And we have different check-in points. We have our home and the school, so we can see when we leave the home and when we come back close to home, like our home base, and also the school. And you can have different check-in points as well. And so it's we're just able to see if the kids are moving, kind of where they're at. It also helps us, like if there's a high rate of speed, it detects that. It detects if there's a crash. So it's very helpful. It's not really, we don't view it as like spying on our kids. We view it as a helping tool to make sure everybody's safe.
I know my son had that on my grandson. At least the first few years he was driving. I don't know if they still do or not. He's 19 now. But and I've never heard it called anything, but I'm sure it sounds just like what you, I don't know if there are other companies.
There's
that do the
probably
same
other
thing.
companies,
But it sounded like the same thing, and very helpful for them. They could track him down when they needed to, and monitor his speed and tell how fast he'd been driving and this sort of thing. And so kept him from doing the crazy stuff we did when we were teenagers, and nobody knew what we were doing. So
Does Life 360 is there like a voice app? Do they have a headquarters where they can come on and?
I'm sure if you I think you have to probably buy different premiums and things, and I'm sure they do. And you can also hit a button to say you need help, and they will contact authorities as well.
Oh, okay.
We did not realize it at that point in time when we had it. We just more used it as in where are the kids at.
Sure.
And of course it has a lot more capabilities probably than we even know.
And so as far when the trial was going on, the fact that he was on drugs, was that the only motivation for what his actions that came out, or?
That's what he said. We will never know. I just remember his lawyer saying, we're very thankful that it wasn't worse. And in my head, yes, it wasn't worse, but he has no idea what we lived through.
It's bad enough, though.
Oh,
And it's bad enough. And are we lucky? Yes, we are very, very lucky, very, very blessed that nothing worse did happen. And he claims that he did not know what he was doing, and he didn't know what happened.
So does he or his insurance company have any financial obligation to you for these therapy sessions and this sort of thing?
No, I didn't ask for that.
Okay.
It was something that I could have asked for, but again, I did not feel that's the best restitution. The restitution comes from help, and I felt like it was not worth it to me to ask for that.
But he altered through no fault of your own, your life was altered, and how you conducted yourself. So I always think that's bad when people
So,
your
Sarah,
life.
I need to go back, and then perhaps it's that I'm a terrible listener, but how did he? He was in the left lane? He was in the opposite lane.
Yes, he was in the opposite lane when he first started.
All of a sudden, he was behind you, huh?
Yes. So, and the only reason I think he got behind us was because the left lane closed, and there was construction. And so he had started
to move over,
and
behind
he
you.
had to move over behind us. And then he just decided whether it to him was a game or he thought we wronged him in some way. We will never know.
Yeah.
He decided to chase us down.
So what did the court decide should happen to him?
So he did serve a few months in jail from December, and then I think he was released. And they actually sided with me in saying that he needed to have substance abuse help and check-ins. He needed to have mental health help and check-ins. And then he had to pay some violation fines.
Sure.
And driving under the influence. And then other than that, he's on probation.
Yeah.
We do have a restraining order. And it's more of a restraining order I think, for Ava, not necessarily for me, but more for her protection, especially with her going off to college.
Oh yeah. Well,
So,
and it's for you, Sarah, too.
Yep.
It's I understand you want to protect your daughter there, but it's for you as well. It's got to be for you. Yeah.
Actually, you kept your head.
Yes.
During the whole thing, yeah.
Yes.
You really did. So.
When you have that gut feeling, I always say go with your gut.
Oh, yeah.
Like your gut tells you. And at that point in time, again, probably listening to my true crime podcasts, I was very hyper aware. The mile markers, the make and model of the car, the color of the truck, like all of those things I knew I had to be aware of to report back.
Yeah.
I always say be aware of your surroundings, travel in pairs if not more, and just know what's going on. We take for granted we live in small town Iowa and everybody is kind and outpouring and would never do harm, but it can happen in a small town.
What advice would you give to our listeners if they were put in that terrible situation? What
I would say for sure have it sounds like a tracking device or like an app so your family knows where you are and what's going on. If you are leaving and going somewhere like out of the norm, let someone know. Be aware of your surroundings at all times and just try to have the most level head that you can in an emergency situation. Because you never know what can happen and when it can happen, and you have to be prepared to act and to know what to do.
And it sounds like you have a wonderful therapist.
Yes.
Did you find that person right away? Did the law enforcement agency help you find them?
So actually, I reached out to our school social worker and therapist, mostly to check in on Ava. Just knowing teenage girls, they don't know. They can say what's going on, but they like to hide a lot of things. So I wanted to check ins for her, and she had referred me to the University of Iowa. They have a free mental health clinic for educators and for students, and you have to fill out a questionnaire and explain why you feel like you need some free therapy. And they have a lot of really good resources for students and for educators as well. And so I had filled out a form after like a week or two. Ava said at that point in time she did not want to, and I respected her wishes, and they got a hold of me within a day after me basically typing out my story and explaining how it affected me, how I wasn't able to sleep, how I was having flashbacks, and I was not able to eat, and I felt like I was in a brain fog, and I was very hyper vigilant, and I could feel like the tightness in my chest, my beating heart, my pulse, racing. I could feel all of those things, and at different times of the day and different things set it off. And so they contacted me right away, and they wanted to do an interview, and it was all over Zoom. So that was wonderful. I never had to leave the comfort of my home, and so we set it up that I would meet once a week on Zoom at home, and we worked through it. And typically they go case by case, and it's usually 8-week sessions, but because of the severity of what I was going through, they were kind enough to do it from October until June.
It is such an incredible story. How we found out about it was you posted a brief part of it on your Facebook page, and we reached out to you, and you were kind enough to come and talk with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I truly believe in...
You did a wonderful job telling.
Thank you. I truly believe in advocating for others, and I was scared to share my story, but I was sharing it to help someone else.
Well, is there anything else that you didn't get a chance to share that you'd like our listeners to know?
Just be aware of your loved ones. Be aware that everybody's going through something, and you may not know it. So just treat everybody with kindness and check in on your family members and friends.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
so much for having me.
You're very welcome.
the Steve Brown Art Center Podcast Network. Another sponsor who's been with us since the birth of the SBAC is Derek's Repair, located in Jesup, Iowa. Contact Derek Marty for your car repair needs. Also, check out the podcast What Is Up with our friend Bubba Seaman. Bubba had on a former professional hockey player on this last week.
Canadian, or?
Yes, he was a Canadian.
All right. And he still talked to Bubba, huh?
He did. We won't hold it against him. He may,
Canada's ready to go to war, I think.
They are.
They're pretty upset. And I don't know if I told you, the new prime minister coming on, I saw him interviewed once. He is a very, very sharp man.
He is.
We need to be careful with him. So.
They were talking about Greenland, and I found out why it's so big to President Trump. And it isn't just Mr. Trump, it is his followers out there, the oligarchs, etc. It is obviously the minerals of Greenland, but also it's far enough north. I confuse these. Antarctica.
This is just the Arctic.
Or the Arctic, excuse me. The Arctic is a toehold right now because of the movement of the ice. The world is got a soft war going for the Arctic, and Greenland would be a toehold. It's the largest island in the world.
Okay, because I know Russia has invested a lot in icebreakers for ships, and their thinking is that someday they'll be able to just break like a Northwest Passage, just break like a canal through all that ice, the Atlantic to the Pacific, that sort of, go around the top of the world, be a lot shorter.
And I'm guessing probably that's why Canada is so big, is it's far enough north there that we want the minerals and...
Yeah, I don't know about... I thought it was just the muskie. We can go fishing without buying those expensive licenses. No, I don't know what his thing is with Canada. I think it's more a historical thing. He's never mentioned any, but it would be one humongous state. I think he's misstated there. And I don't believe he's serious about that at all, about Canada.
He's hammering them. He keeps throwing tariffs at him, Dale, there's got to be a reason. It's got to be billions of dollars, and there's got to be people behind him pushing this, Dale.
All the economic experts say tariffs are not the way to go.
No, right.
And they've been saying that for a couple hundred years, because this is not a new thing. He's a tough guy to know what his true motives are. You don't know what he says is not always what he means, and so it's very difficult right now to figure things out.
It is. It's hard. Well, Dale, what do you got for local news?
Well, I got a few things. The library still has some things going yet this month. The St. Croix Hospice Education is still coming up on Wednesday, March 26th, and hospice is getting involved with more and more of us as we get older, and there are more older people and more they call sandwich generations, where you're caring for your parents while at the same time you're caring for your children, and people are getting run ragged. So that's going to be on Wednesday, March 26th from 1 to 3. So if you're in that situation, might be something to find out about. You can fun and play at the JPL every Thursday, 8 to 9. Community room will open for toddlers and caregivers. They got activities and games, and the Little Tot Story Time is every Thursday at 10:30. March 24th, they're doing the movie Wicked. We've talked about that before, and it's a hit musical. Did pretty well at the Oscars, didn't it? It got some awards. I know there are a lot of nominations. It runs PG. It runs for 2 hours and 40 minutes, so it's long. So
no, that is long.
It's free admission, and that many hours you can eat a lot of popcorn, and the popcorn is free also.
Were you as frightened when you watched Wizard of Oz the first time you saw it? Were you as frightened as I was when the monkeys came out?
The monkeys are kind of scary.
Oh,
yeah. I remember taking my daughter Joy when she was around 5 to the Waterloo Children's Theater at the Art Center there in Waterloo.
Yes.
And they did Wizard of Oz, and the monkeys came in. When they're getting rid of the witch, they throw water on her and she melts. And so they gathered around her and they throw the water on, which is like blue confetti or something. And the witch is there, and all at once she just disappears. I'm sure they have a hole in the floor there, but she just kind of disappeared amongst this circle of monkeys, and all the kids in the audience just stood up and craned their necks as hard, trying to see what had happened to the witch. It was the most wonderful theater experience I've ever had, because it was so much fun. So this is not to build anybody up, but I took my kids to lots of theater productions, and my grandkids too, and you can take them to Gallagher Blue Dorn for $1. They have lots of different wonderful productions, and get kids involved in theater, live entertainment. It's really a neat thing to do. So check into that. Card game. I don't know. This has just started. We're having card games on Tuesday, and I have not asked if that's taken off yet or how many people are showing up. And then the Chatter Book Chat, and March's title is "The Things They Carried" by Tim O'Brien. I've had a copy of this book for many years, and it's a novel, but it's about the Vietnam War and the different things people took with them, issued things, but things of their own that they took with them, and the reason behind that. So that's kind of the library news that I have. Cowork 591 has a few things going on. Remember, you can go to homemadecatering.net and order some meals. They have some delicious meals there, and Cowork 591 is the place. If you have your order in by Sunday, then you can pick it up the following Tuesday. And so something that we could all try out, and I keep thinking about it, and I don't get it done. The 591 food truck parade keeps coming. On the 17th is the Chick-fil-A food truck. I think that's neat. And Smiley soup sandwiches on Friday. Okay, soup and sandwiches.
That's the what? The 21st?
Yeah, Friday. So
Okay.
Monday and Friday next. The 26th, the Thrive Table. It says for business owners and entrepreneurs at 8 o'clock in the morning. So it must be some kind of a program for people that own businesses or have ideas for businesses. Have you
Okay.
heard anything about it? Kelly was here earlier and I didn't. And then Fat Roy's Mexican food truck is on the 27th. And so that'll kind of take care of March.
Gotta like
Boy,
Fat
oh boy,
Roy.
it's gone fast. And so that's really going fast. School news, I went to Des Moines on Tuesday to see the boys play in the state tournament, and they lost pretty big. And I texted you the score, and I don't remember, but it was by quite a few points. And it was so big that the Western Christian, they started putting in subs, like 5 at a time, halfway through the third quarter because they were so far ahead. And I always hated that when you be, like, I played mostly baseball. We get a baseball game, and you're so far behind, things are going so bad for you that the coach on the other team puts in the right fielder to pitch, or his 12-year-old son or something.
Right.
It really, it was insulting to you as a player, you know. Anyway, in 2A, you got 3 Christian schools and West Lyon. So good luck, West Lyon, I tell you. But on Thursday at 2 o'clock, Grandview Christian plays Western Christian of Hull. I saw Grandview Christian play on Tuesday also, and I think Western Christian looks really, really good. They started, they have the Jesup player 5-10, 5, and Western Christian of Hull, I was on 6-1, 6-1, 6-3, 6-4, 6-1. The starters, all of them over 6 foot, and all of them lean and mean and can play ball.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be very tough to be. I would have to say they are very good. That they should take it. And you would not believe, you see the records, and they have won the state tournament in that class 12 to 15 times over the last 25 years. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're really put together powerhouse basketball teams. And West Lyon, I saw them play Grundy, and they are very, very good. They were up by 30 points, and so they have a very good team. And so that would be my second choice. They have to play Unity Christian. I did not see them play. We left before that game. West Lyon and Western Christian of Hull look to me like the 2 best teams.
That's where all the taxpayer money's going, is out to those basketball schools in Western Iowa,
Sure.
Dale.
Well, the Western Iowa schools, they just beat the crap out of the Eastern Iowa schools, at least in 2A.
See, it's a little different. If you look at vice versa, the strength of the girls' basketball is on the east side of the state, and the strength of the boys' basketball is on the west side. It used to be the west side as well.
Just for the kids, March 19, 20, 21, and 24. There's no school for the kids.
Spring break.
Spring break 2 days, and conference 1 day, and I can't remember what the 24th is. Oh, professional development. So the teachers don't get all of it. They usually get 3 of them. Because there's conferences on the 18th and a day off on the 19th, and 2021 is spring break, and then you have Saturday, Sunday, then Monday is professional development. So the kids really do get the whole week, looks like.
Dale, and if I offend anyone, and I have that ability to offend people very quickly. So if I offend someone, I'm going to do it right now, I guess, again. But,
I can take it.
Toward the end of my teaching career, it was not uncommon for a lot of teachers to take a week off and go on a vacation in the spring.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. It was very, very common, actually, in the high school.
How do they do that?
Well, they had their X amount of personal days.
Okay. And they use it around the days off for spring break?
Sometimes they would do that. Sometimes they would just take the personal days and then take unpaid.
Yeah. It used to be real hard to do that.
Oh, I know
Yeah,
it was.
very hard to do
Yes,
that,
it
so,
was.
yeah.
Oh, it was. I can remember even asking for that and being scolded for even asking.
One of the more interesting things I had is a lady. Her husband won a trip through his business to Hawaii. They were going to go early September. And so in the spring, she asked the principal if she could take her 2 personal days and 2 unpaid days to go with her husband to Hawaii on this. And he said, sure. Well, then when the fall started, the superintendent said, oh, no, you can't do that. Well, they already had their reservations and all this stuff. And so it got to be a matter where I was the contract guy for
Right,
JEA.
right.
And so I got involved with it. And so she got to go to Hawaii. And she said, what do you want, dear? I said, well, I like a hula girl. So she sent me one of them little jiggly girls that I had at home for a while. Then it disappeared. I don't know what she. I mean,
Dan Christ.
Yeah.
You know, it's Chris's
I don't
house.
think it was him. On March 29th, and I guess I should apologize too. I didn't look into this, but they have on the calendar something called Spring Vendor Sale from 9 to 1, and then JCAPS, which is what this place is all about, right? JCAPS Vendor Fair from 11 to 2. And so I need to find out for next week what those are all about so I can report.
Okay.
But,
I've heard of those, and I don't know a lot about that.
yeah.
Yes.
So I don't know if it's for the public or if it's for kids. Or I don't really know, but it's on the calendar. So then I wanted to talk a little bit about dementia.
Can we come back to
Sure,
that,
that'd be
Dale?
great. That'd be
This
great.
Steve Brown
Just
Art
so we
Center?
don't forget to do
we
it.
won't.
Yes.
What we were talking about? This Steve Brown Art Center podcast network. You know, something we missed that got biased, Dale, and I feel terrible. You were talking about the prequel to the prequel to The Wizard of Oz earlier.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about the Oscars this year.
Oh, and I didn't even watch the Oscars. this year.
And
It
I
slipped right on by
didn't
me.
either.
Yeah, so.
I didn't either. But there were the winner of the most awards this year was a movie named Honora.
Have you seen it?
I haven't. I
Has
haven't.
anybody seen it?
Well, and that's the thing, Dale, is the least watched movie ever to win the Best Picture
Yeah,
ever.
and that happens a lot. You have big blockbusters that make millions and millions of dollars, but some little film wins the Best Picture that no one has seen.
Well, and I've got the reason tonight.
Do you really?
I
All
do.
right.
I do. First, though, let's talk a little bit about Honora. Honora, won 5 Oscars this year. It won the Best Picture, the Best Director, the Best Actress. I'm not sure if you call her Mickey Anderson or Mickey Madison or Mikey Madison.
You don't know how she pronounces it?
Yeah, I don't know how she
okay,
pronounces
I've
it.
not heard of her. So.
And then the best editing and the best original screenplay. Sean Baker, the director, won 4 of the 5.
Okay.
Incredible feat to do that.
Yeah.
There is everything that I read about this movie, and I read a lot for this show about this because I hadn't seen it, and I am cheap. I'm not going to find it and pay $20 on. But to Sean Baker's credit, Sean Baker is pushing for people to go theater movies more.
Yeah.
It's his credit, and he also, this is rather unique, the showing, what do they call it? The opening showing.
The credits? Or?
No. When a movie first comes
the
out.
premiere?
Yeah, the premiere.
Okay.
The premiere, they usually bring in a bunch of critics.
Dementia.
And,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's right. What were we talking about? Oh, Honora.
Yeah.
And he talked about, he didn't bring in critics and all that. He brought in a bunch of sex workers.
Oh.
Because this movie is about sex workers.
Oh, okay.
And so he brought in sex workers to this movie.
Do they have a union, do you think?
Well, in Vegas or in Nevada, they do.
Oh, I bet they do, yeah.
Yes,
Because they're
in
legal
Nevada.
there. Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
there is. But this movie has, and this is what I'm reading about this, it has tremendous acting, and it was filmed on location, which a lot of movies aren't. They're filmed in studios.
Sure.
But here is the thing, and Dale, I was thinking about this. There came a point in my life as we studied the Renaissance, and as I would teach the Renaissance in school, Renaissance art became a favorite of mine. You know, because of the mathematics involved, the the science involved, the art, the physics, the lighting, and everything was incredible. If you look at, art changed at the time of the Renaissance. This movie and the reviews I read talked about how there were 10 real neat things that the director focused on. That this was sort of a Renaissance painting of its own. He focused on a tone shift in the movie, and I read this a couple of places. There were 3 different movies in this one movie. The start where Annie or Nora meets the oligarch's son. They can't find the son, so the middle becomes like a raucous humorous movie, and then the end sort of becomes a tragedy. And then the setting is New York in the wintertime, so it's not a lot of tourists. And the humor, I guess, is very good. Laugh out loud, and I don't go to a lot of movies that are laugh out loud.
It's hard to find them anymore.
Yeah.
I can remember seeing movies as a kid and just laughing like crazy because it was so funny. And you watch them years later and you just sit through it and just watch it. And so it's not nearly as much fun to be an old person.
No. Then they also talked about the depiction of the sex workers and their ideas, their conversations were realistic. This movie had a real feel to it, a real life feel to it, and it had this oligarch was extremely wealthy, and his son, and it had a believable wealth. Where you and I talk about, we're talking about Elon Musk earlier, and we just can't fathom his wealth.
Yeah.
But this had a believable wealth. It had the characters were very good in it. I look at I talk about the Dairy Girls a lot on this podcast, and they have remarkable characters on there. And they talk about this show as having remarkable characters. The henchmen are sort of comedic yet violent. The ending is good. Mickey or Mikey Madison, the star, everybody says was very good. Now here's where you mentioned nobody's seen it. It cost $6 million to make this movie. Okay. They spent $18 million to market it. Okay. So including sending DVDs and DVD players to the people that vote in the Oscars.
Sure.
Not just DVDs, DVD players.
In case they didn't have one.
Yes. The attack on this movie is that it spent 3 times what it cost to make it. Marketing.
Yeah.
But you look at Oppenheimer and some of the others, they spend just as much money marketing.
Sure. I'm sure they all do.
Yeah.
Because it's worth a lot of money to them to get an Oscar.
Yeah. I'm not ready to attack it for buying an Oscar because it happens every year, I'm convinced.
Yeah. Can we get Becky to show it at the library, you think?
I don't think so. It is. I heard one review. It is an R-rated show, and I heard one review person say it's the most sex they ever saw in a movie, other than an X-rated movie.
Yeah.
So I don't think we could get Becky to show it.
I was pretty sure we could.
Yeah. Anyhow, that's the movie of Nora, and that was the movie of the year, which it'll be interesting if it handles time or not.
So did it make money then? $24 million spent on it?
It is. Blake,
you don't need to
can
know,
you look that up? Look it up for us as we bloviate here. How much money has the movie of Nora made so far? Well, this is Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. Dale, what were we going to talk about? Oh, dementia.
Well, there's an article, and you see the illustration here. I don't know if Blake can pick it up or not.
Hold that thought.
41 million.
Oh. Okay.
So
they made money. So.
They've made money, and that is just starting.
Yeah.
Basically. All right. Thank you, Blake.
But we have the illustration that goes with this, and this was in the Des Moines Register.
Hold that up to the camera.
Can you see it? But it's a leafy tree in the shape of a human head, but then the back of the head is the leaves are blowing away.
Okay.
showing how dementia affects you, how it's taking away. You understand the illustration?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Well, I'm sure you did, but you did not. So, yeah, and it really struck me when I first saw that, because it really, to me, shows what dementia is. It just seemed like you're there, and then you're just slowly losing it out the back of your head is what it looks like. But this article is talking about how little we do and how much is available to help people with dementia. And early, it's like a lot of things. If you can catch it early, there are things they can do to keep it from getting as bad as it can get. The research is working, but a lot of research now is being cut out because of the government's trying to spend less money. It says the Alzheimer's Association, this is in Iowa, has the ability to track by counting the percentage of people and that are liable to get dementia. Medicare pays for annual wellness checks, but they don't pay the doctors, it says, and I don't understand that a lot. But there's a lot of work that can be done, but it's not science fiction. But the existing therapies that they are using now are truly amazing. They can add months and even years to one's cognitive life, not to mention their quality of life. It says, in just months, much more research will be done. Our knowledge of the brain will continue to explode. New therapies will present and advance. 6 months of research and therapy could yield to 60 months of life. That's a good trade.
Wow,
for
that
an
is
impaired
great
person
trade.
and their caregiver. So you could stay in your home and you could continue with life, friends, and family.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
What type of therapy are they talking about?
We have to wait to see.
Okay.
Okay. It says memory care in Iowa averages over $5,700 per month, and that's what Medicare will pay. Private pay, of course, is much, much higher. It says cognitive tests for all these patients need to occur because early detection can lead to incredible results. But that's not part of the Medicare annual physical or whatever is cognitive test so much. So without early detection, many more will also find the clock has run out. They can only reach out to what might seem to be an impassive God. So many prayers have been uttered, said in the quiet dark, punctuated with heaving sobs of despair and hopelessness. Prayers lifted up by the hundreds of thousands of caregivers across our broken world. The caregivers who could remember their lives with their loved ones who no longer can. These days were gone when the long goodbye began, and that's what they call it, the long goodbye. The guilt and pain twist in their guts and they cry out and all the same. Medical researchers are working on early diagnosis and treatment for dementia. They don't describe in this what it is, just that it is available and that money needs to be put, of course, for more research to allow this research to happen. So the idea I got from it is that when they call it the long goodbye, that really seems that's appropriate for how things happen, and that there is hope for something to be done for dementia, because to me it's the most cruel. I can't imagine losing all my cognitive ability and not being able to function, but not be able to think or remember, and you lose your memories. And so anyway, that's something I saw that interested me, and mainly the illustration interested me most because those leaves just flying away from the tree out of the brain. Anyway, I just wanted to mention that. So.
You know, that's a wonderful article, Dale. Thank you for bringing that up. You know, you were talking about caregivers in that article on the caregivers at the library that they're showing. I grew up in Cresco, as I've talked about before, and I was talking to a friend there, and him and his wife are my age, and his wife is babysitting their children's children right now. And their mother is struggling with dementia, and they moved her in with them now. So his wife is not only babysitting her grandchildren every day, but she is also taking care of her mother-in-law every day. You know,
and it usually falls to the wife.
It does.
Just caring.
It does. And you know, that's one of the reasons that I really promote universal basic income, Dale. The wife gets nothing for that. No pay for that.
You have to give up a job a lot of times to be able to be there to the care. I don't know what the answer is, but the way we're doing it now is not.
They were talking to the it's not the Prince of Qatar, you know, whatever they call the main leader of Qatar, and in order to get a higher rating from the United Nations just rode Qatar about you have no rest homes in Qatar. You don't do anything for your elderly. Well, I listened to him speak on this, and he said, you know, the reason reason why we don't have rest homes. And they built rest homes just to please the United Nations. They built it. But he says, why we didn't have rest homes is our families take care of the elderly.
Sure.
They take care of their parents.
Yeah.
I mean,
and many societies do that.
yeah. We need to financially find a way to pay those caregivers.
Well, yeah, so they don't lose their life as well as
Yeah.
the other person is. Because if you're caring for others 24 hours a day, your own life is in forfeit
Right.
to that. And your heart goes out to those people and what wonderful people they are. But again, you hate to see that happen to anybody.
Yeah. This is the Steve Brown Arts Center Podcast Network. A few things. Don't forget, as always, check out our 24-hour Mustang camera, sponsored by Joe's Pizza in Independence. Blake, we got that running like a well-oiled machine. I haven't seen it down for weeks. And maybe you've seen it down, but I haven't. Yeah, exactly. Keep your fingers crossed. Now that I say it, we go there. It's not. Check it out if you get a chance, Blake. What a run! And I see Joe Smines out here at the Booster Club meeting. Joe, if you listen, what a run! You beat my alma mater, crushed with the first round. You went down to Cascade and you went up to MFL and beat them. Then you went down to Cascade and beat them, and then you went over to Waverly and beat North Fayette.
Being an undefeated team.
What a run.
Yeah.
You guys have a lot to be proud of.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for that run. You electrified the community. Don't forget, check out Barb Prall's art at M's Coffee. Thanks to John Klotzbeck.
Yeah, Independence Bulletin, I see.
Yeah.
Has a nice coverage and some pictures of her artwork, which look really good. I've not stopped in to see them yet, but they look really good.
Yeah, she'll be so proud to see that. And we get off the air tonight, I'll take a picture of that article and send it down to Barb. Remember, we're trying to meet 12 artists. I'm meeting my artists from March, actually this Sunday at Gedney. Gedney also shows some of our Nick Thomas art. We had Nick on the air.
Yeah.
If you'd like to donate to the Steve Brown Arts Center or have an idea for an event, go to the SteveBrownArtsCenter.org and follow the link. Or don't forget, yesterday was our first jam session at the library. We will talk about that next week. And then a week from today, we're having an artist collaborative, the American Lutheran Church in Jesup. All artists, dancers, musicians, painters, sculptors. If you consider yourself an artist, you're more than welcome. That's at 6:30.
That sounds right, yeah.
At the American Lutheran Church. Stop in. Rich Moore Kelly is going to run that for us. Notice I said his name without hesitation.
You certainly did. You're getting really good at that.
If you have news or would like to sponsor us, email us at jim@stevebrownartscenter.org or call us at 319-290-0241 and leave a message. We don't thank Blake enough. Blake makes this run very well. Thank you so much, Blake. I'm Jim Gillespie with producer Blake Tempus and co-host Dale Rueber. As always, thanks to Kelly Seahaas and thanks to Sarah Nolan for being on tonight. I know that wasn't easy for Sarah.
But she wanted to do it. She's part of her therapy, I think.
Yeah.
And I think it will benefit her. She handled it really well.
She did. Thanks to the audience for bringing these stray dogs into your life. We even had a stray dog in here tonight with Phoebe.
We did, didn't we?
Yes, we did.
So we always tell the truth, don't we?
That's right. Happy New Year. And remember, each day is about little victories.